अज्ञान तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। आनन्दमानन्दकरप्रसन्नं प्रेमस्वरूपं ब्रजभावयुक्तं योगीन्द्रमीड्यं भवरोगवैद्यं गुरुं कृपालुं प्रणमामि नित्यम्। Dear devotees, we will be singing a bhajan. I will be elaborating on one of the bhajans from Prem Ras Madira. अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम। Page number 87 in the books. अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम. An aspirant, a seeker of divine love bliss, addressing Shri Krishna, is saying, "O Sham Sundar, consider me to be your very own. Always look upon me as I am yours. Do not have any formalities with me. Just consider me your own. Ghadi ghadi pal pal naam tiharo, rate meri rasna mere ghansham." And my only desire is that I constantly sing your glories each and every moment of the day. Let your name be forever on my lips. Let me constantly chant your divine name. Lali laal do dagar bahi, hamare hiye basna mere ghansham. O Sham Sundar, it is my deepest desire, my deepest wish, that you, Lali and Lal, Shri Radha and Krishna, your divine form, that glimpse, that beautiful chavi of yours with your arms wrapped around each other, let that divine vision dwell in my heart. Let you always reside in my heart in this way. भाव ही डोरे डारी हिए मैं झुलाऊं नित झुलना मेरे घनश्याम. And in this way, after having seated you in my heart in this beautiful form, I will rock you with the sentiments, with the feelings of love. With loving feelings in my heart, I will rock you gently and swing you in my heart. दै उपहार हार असवन को बना लूं तुझे अपना मेरे घनश्याम. And then what will I do? Then I will offer you a garland made of tears, made of streams of tears, strings of tears of love for you. And in this way, I will make you mine forever and ever. कैसे हूँ करी कृपालु प्रभु अपनो पुरवो मम सपना मेरे घनश्याम. Jagatguru Uttam, the saint poet, Shri Kripaluji Maharaj says, O Sham Sundar, no matter how, kindly fulfill this dream of mine. Make me yours forever. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you make me yours. Please fulfill this dream of mine. So let us first sing the bhajan. अपना पन रखना मेरे घनश्याम.
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 घड़ी घड़ी पल पल नाम तिहारो.
घड़ी घड़ी पल पल नाम तिहारो.
घड़ी घड़ी पल पल नाम अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
लली लाल दो दैगर बाही
लाल दो देकर
लली लाल दो दैगर बाही
लाल दो देकर
लाल दो दैगर बाही
लाल दो देकर
हमारे ही ये बसना मेरे घनश्याम।
हमारे बसना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
भाव ही डोरे भाव ही डोरे डारी ये
भाव ही डोरे डारी ये
भाव ही डोरे डारी
भाव झुलाऊं नित झूलना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
उपहार उपहार हार आसुआन को
उपहार हार आसुवन को
हार आसुवन को
हार आसुवन को
बना लूं तुझे अपना मेरे घनश्याम।
बना लूं तुझे अपना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन रखना मेरे घनश्याम।
कैसे हूँ करी कृपालु प्रभु आपनो।
कैसे हूँ करी कृपालु प्रभु अपनो।
कैसे हूँ करी कृपालु प्रभु आपनो।
कैसे हूँ करी कृपालु प्रभु अपनो।
सपना मेरे घनश्याम।
पुरवो मम सपना मेरे घनश्याम।
अपनापन पुरवो मम सपना मेरे
सपना मेरे घनश्याम.
So in the last line, Shimraji, the saint poet of this bhajan, is saying, "O Sham Sundar, please fulfill my dream by somehow making me yours forever. Somehow or the other, by hook or by crook, as we say. By any means possible, whatever is necessary, whether you do it lovingly, whether you do it harshly, whether you do it cunningly, you deceive me, you're deceitful, you do it deceitfully. No matter how you do it, bestow your grace upon me in such a way that I become yours." You see, nothing is possible without God's grace. Unless God wishes it, we cannot attain Him. No matter how many tears we may shed, no matter how much, what efforts we make, it is only when God bestows His grace upon us that we can attain Him, that we can know Him. As the scriptures state, "Yasya prasadam kurute sachainam drashtumarhati," Adhyatma Ramayana. Says only the recipient of God's grace can see, know, and attain God and become eternally gratified. There's no other way possible. And in order to attain God's grace can only be attained by surrendering to Him. And in order to surrender to God, we must develop our love for Him, we must worship Him. And in order to develop our love for Him, we must make an effort to attach our mind to Him, or vice versa. In order to attach our mind to Him, we must develop love for Him. And in order to develop love for Him, we must worship Him, we must practice devotion. And in order to practice devotion properly, efficiently, effectively, we need the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, a God-realized personality, namely a Shrotriyam Brahmanist. In other words, one who is not only a theoretical knower of God, but also, most importantly, a practical knower of God. And what will he tell us? We need such a guru, which we are all blessed with. What will the guru tell us? How will he teach us? He will guide us and tell us, as Jagat Guru Tam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj has been doing and is continuing to do so through his vast, unlimited, in fact, infinite, his extraordinary divine knowledge revealed to the entire world through his scriptures, through his scientifically philosophical discourses, his devotional bhajans, his extensive literature on the philosophy of all Vedic scriptures. And he teaches us what the ultimate aim of our life is, who we are, who is God, main kaun, mera kaun. What is the ultimate aim of this life? How can we know Him? Why should we know Him? What is the relationship between God and us, the individual soul? And so on. Moreover, he explains to us why this human life is so significant, so important, what is so precious about it, again and again and again. You see, we all want to live forever. We all want life. We want to live. We wish to live as long as we possibly can. Why? The reason is that we are the eternal parts and parcels of Satchidanand Brahma, of God. And the form of God, the form of Shri Krishna, is known as Satchidanand, Sat, Chit, and Anand. Perfect existence or immortal existence. Perfect knowledge, unlimited, perfect knowledge, and Anand. Supreme happiness, perfect happiness, bliss absolute. So being the eternal parts and parcels of God, we are also the parts and parcels of God's Sat Shakti, which means the immortal, the perfect aspect of God, the perfect immortal existence of God. And therefore, we also desire to live forever. We want immortality. We wish to exist forever. This is our inherent nature. And yet, at the same time, at present time, we are faced with the ill effects of COVID-19. We must not harbor any fears in our heart as devotees, as aspirants on the path of devotion. We must not be afraid either. We must not be afraid of death. Why? Well, first of all, because death is an inevitable part of human life. And most importantly, we are not just the body. As the scriptures explain, we are not just the body. We consist of two things, two entities, the body and the soul. So we are not just the body. And the soul is eternal, unborn, ever existing, undying, immortal. As Lord Krishna reveals in the Gita, Gyāgyau dvāvaja vishanishavajā hyeka bhoktri bhogyartha yukta anantaschatma vishvarupo hyakarta triyam yada vindate brahmametat. Shvetashvatara 1:9. The Shvetashvatara states that the soul is unborn and eternal. So the body is perishable, true. The body can be destroyed. The physical gross body can be brought to an end. It is perishable. But the soul is not. The soul is immortal, eternal, ever existing, unborn and eternal, similar to his source, God. You see, we are referred to by the Vedas as Jivatma, the soul, the individual soul. We emanate amongst the innumerable powers of God, as you must have heard many times, the three main ones being Chit Shakti, Jeev Shakti, and Maya Shakti. We, the individual souls, emanate from God's Jeev Shakti, the marginal power of God. So we are referred to as Jivatma, the embodied soul. And this point is also illustrated at other places in the Gita. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityah shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Gita 2:20. Lord Krishna reveals to us that for the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been, nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. It is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and beginningless. It is not slain when the body is slain. Furthermore, elsewhere in the Gita it is stated, Vasansi jirnani yatha bihaya navani grihnati naro parani tatha sharirani bihaya jirna nyanyani sanyati navani dehi. 222. Meaning that just as a person takes off old and worn out clothing and puts on new clothing, new garments, even so does the embodied soul casts off the old and worn out body and takes on a new one. Ishwar Ansh Jiva Avinashi. So the soul is immortal and eternal because, according to the Gita, once again, na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, ubhayorapi dishtontas tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. 216. Of the non-existent, there's no coming to be. In other words, something that does not exist cannot all of a sudden come into existence. It cannot exist. So for the non-existent, there's no coming to be, and for the existent, there's no ceasing to be. Similar to the scientific theory, conservation of indestructibility of matter, conservation of energy. In other words, matter cannot be destroyed. Something that exists will continue to exist in some form or the other. And something that does not exist cannot come into existence. So the point is that we have all been in existence since the existence of God, and God has been in existence as long as we have, and both God and we have been in existence since the time when even the concept of time did not exist. In other words, before creation. Aksharat sanjayate kalah ved. So, we are beginningless, eternal, and as well as endless. We will continue to exist just like God. But that does not mean that we must become negligent towards our physical body. No, absolutely not. We must also and yet bear in mind that this body is extremely precious. It is invaluable. Why? It is most precious. So we must, first of all, make every effort to save it, to preserve it, make an effort to take care of it physically, mentally, protect it from any disease and unnecessary sufferings caused by our own carelessness. Why? Because it is extremely precious. It is only in this form of life that we can even make an attempt to, we are given the opportunity to practice devotion. It is only in the human form that we can work towards reaching our ultimate aim, our ultimate goal of supreme happiness, unlimited and everlasting happiness. God realization, another name for God realization. We cannot do it in any other form of life, only in the human form. So this is the most important point. And this is why, hence, this human form of life is referred to as karma yoni, because it is only as humans that we are given the freedom to do purusharth, karma, fruit-yielding actions, actions which will bear reward, results in the future. All other species of life are referred to as bhog yoni. They merely bear the fruits of their past actions. The consequences, they bear the consequences of actions performed in their previous lives, not as animals, birds, or insects, as humans. So the actions that they had performed in some previous life, when they had assumed the human form, those are the actions they are bearing the fruits of as well. So it is extremely precious. Namanusham binanyatra tattva jnanam tu labhyate. As Garuda Puran states, for this reason, except for humans, it is not possible for any other living creature to gain the knowledge of God and thereby attain Him. And Vedavyas also tells us in the Narad Puran as well, Durlabham manusham janma prarthyate tridashairapi. Even heavenly gods desire the human form. It is so precious. Let me tell you a wonderful story from the scriptures. Once Indra had the desire to build a beautiful, an extraordinary palace for himself. So he was having this miraculous, this marvelous palace. He was having it built. And he ordered Vishvakarma, the divine architect, to make such a unique palace, the likes of which has never been seen or built ever before in all the three worlds. In the heavenly abodes, on the earthly planet, and in the nethermost regions. So all the plans, the palace was being built, and it was continued to be constructed. And one day, God, due to His causeless grace, descended in the form of a Brahman. He appeared right there where the palace was being built, before Indra. He went to Indra and said, "There's a lot of commotion going on. What's happening? What's going on here?" And Indra very arrogantly said, "Oh yes, I'm having a marvelous, a grand palace built. After all, I am the king of heaven. I should have a palace built that befits my status, the God, the king, the God of all gods, the king of all heavenly gods. And God replied in the form of a Brahmin, yes, indeed, you should have a wonderful palace. And then, shortly afterwards, the Brahmin showed Indra a long line of ants. He pointed to a long line of ants crawling on the ground. He said, Indra, what's this? Indra said, what else? It's a line of ants. This line of ants was equivalent to hundreds of miles, several miles in length. It's a line of ants, what else? And God replied, yes, indeed it is. It's a line of ants. That I know. It's a huge line of ants. But did you know that all these ants have sat on the same seat on which you are sitting on right now? They have all become Indra in their past lives. Indra said, what? All these ants have become Indra? They have attained such an elevated status and such high seat, the highest seat that I am occupying at present? They became the God of all gods, and now they have assumed the form of an ant? They have become ants? How is that possible? He was shocked. And the Brahmin replied, yeah, so what do you think? Do you think that once an individual soul becomes Indra, that he attains this seat forever? That he always remains Indra? No, absolutely not. Then, after all your virtuous actions, the wonderful fruits of your virtuous actions have exhausted, then you are hurled down and forced to assume birth in lower species of life. Hina taram va vishanti, the Bhagavad says. Tavat pramodate swarge yavat punyam samapyate. 11:14-26 Bhagavad. To lower species of life. Indra started feeling detached. Suddenly, he experienced great vairagya, detachment. Next, shortly afterwards, due to God's further inspiration, due to God's grace and inspiration, Lomash Muni, a great ascetic and a rishi, appeared before Indra. He was carrying a bowl, a begging bowl in one hand, and in the other hand, under his armpit, he had tucked away a small mat, a chatai. So Indra approached the sage and he offered his respects. He did pranam to the rishi and he said, my lord, Maharaj, how can I serve you? Where do you live? Where is your home? Lomash Muni said, oh, Indra, I do not have a home. I did not get a house built for myself. What is the need? Why bother, I thought, for such a short life? What is there a need to build a home? When I feel sleepy, I just spread this mat and there I sleep. And when I get hungry, if someone offers me, whatever anyone offers me in my bowl, I satisfy my hunger. That is what I eat. So I have not built a home. Now, looking at Lomash Muni's body, it was visible, it was quite visible that there were many fine hairs that were missing from the pores of his body. In between, it was as if they were sprouted in between. And Indra saw this. Indra said to the Rishi, Maharaj, what's this? I noticed that your skin pores are strangely open all over the body, in between. What is the cause? And Lomash Muni just looked at his body, and he very casually remarked. He said, oh, you mean this? He said, oh, yes. You see, every time, whenever one Indra expires, whenever the duration of life of one Indra expires, in other words, he passes away, then one hair follicle from my body automatically drops off. So these fine pores of hair that you see missing from my body are the total number of Indras like yourself who have expired, who have passed away before me during my lifetime. Indra's head started spinning. He was feeling dizzy. He started feeling dizzy. He thought, oh my God, such a long life, equivalent to thousands of lifetimes of Indras like myself. And he's saying, what is there need for a home for such a short life? So now Indra became completely detached. Purna vairagya ho gaya. He became absolutely detached. And he immediately ordered to stop the building of his palace. He said, I don't need anything. What is all this? I am so insignificant. What is the duration of my life? It is nothing. It is equivalent to nothing. It is so transient. So he immediately left his kingdom in order to practice devotion. He said, from now on, I will only worship God. I will only practice devotion. I will do bhakti. Meanwhile, then, Devendra Brihaspati, of course, intervened. He had to intervene and went to Indra and explained, hey, listen, what are you doing? This is bhog yoni. Whatever you do is worthless. It is fruitless. It will not give you any reward. You should have thought about this when you had attained the human body, but at that time you were so preoccupied. At that time, for the attainment of these same temporary heavenly pleasures, you had wasted that priceless human body. So next time, with God's utmost grace, when you do attain it, do not be careless. So in this way, somehow, the point is that Brihaspati, the guru of the heavenly gods, convinced Indra and brought him back to his kingdom. So the point is that we cannot do purusharth. We cannot perform karma. We must understand this deeply in any other species of life other than the human form. No other creature has the right to do purusharth, to do karma in any other bodily form. Even heavenly gods are not given that right. Even heavenly gods cannot work towards spiritual upliftment while residing in heaven. So returning to our pad, so here the aspirant is saying, uplift me from this material world, O Sham Sundar. Make me yours forever. Bless me with your divine bliss. Uplift me and fulfill this dream of mine once and for all. So with these words, Boli Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai